This webinar, as we all know, is relating to InView CodeFree and Advanced CodeFree. To keep things simple, I'm just going to refer to it as CodeFree, and where I'm going to break it down between CodeFree and Advanced CodeFree. I'll make a clear breakdown on that when I get to the different sections. Just a brief introduction. So I'll explain what CodeFree exactly is, and then we'll go down into further 3 topics there. Why use CodeFree, common uses of CodeFree that our customer base use it with, different systems they may use it with, different uses they may use it for, and a short demo, and then any questions at the end, or like I said before, if you have any questions during the course of the WebEx, just feel free to jump in. All right, so to begin, what exactly is InView CodeFree? Well, it's a module in the InView document management product set or system, which can be broken down into two halves. You've got the CodeFree aspect, which, as it says on the screen, it allows users to search for documents stored within InView, via a third-party application, or using data that exists in the third-party application, whether that's finance, HR, any other management sort of data management systems you may have. Anything that, generally speaking, anything that exists on screen within your third-party system, the information can either be scraped or pulled or extracted at some level to perform a search and return documents in InView. So that's the first half. The second sort of half of the CodeFree module is Advanced CodeFree, which gives you the same functionality as CodeFree with the added function of being able to file and save using data stored in the third-party system, using that data to file documents in InView. So, for example, if you've got a finance system where you've got all your information stored about orders and purchase orders and invoices and all the rest of it, and you're scanning documents in InView, what you can do is just pull up the file and save screen, hit a button in your third-party application, which will just pull that data off your third-party finance application, for example, and just populate the file and save screen. The advantage of that is that, obviously, time saving. You've only got a button click to worry about. There's less risk of, errors in manual data entry. If you've got a lot of document references that need to be completed, again, you're cutting down the amount of time spent there, as well as just ensuring that the data that's coming across is uniform across both applications. So whatever's in the finance application will be reflected in InView. User error can always play a part when you're manually filing documents. So with Advanced CodeFree and CodeFree, we're trying to sort of limit the amount of user error that can potentially occur. So that just kind of breaks down the difference between CodeFree and Advanced CodeFree, and hopefully gives you a little bit of information on the 2 different aspects to what is a single module in InView. CodeFree and Advanced CodeFree are both licensed, so unless you've got a license for CodeFree, you won't be able to search. If you have a license for Advanced CodeFree, you can search and file and save. So as I said, Advanced CodeFree is an extension to CodeFree. If you've only got a CodeFree license, you won't be able to file and save using CodeFree. You have to have an Advanced CodeFree license. So why use CodeFree? I kind of just briefly touched on it on the previous slide, regarding filing and saving in finance systems and ensuring your data is uniform across all systems, or InView and your other systems. But in terms of CodeFree, you can perform very simple tasks without having to leave your third-party application, for an extended amount of time. you know, that can be set for searching and filing and saving. If you're searching, CodeFree can be configured in a number of ways to either, you know, perform a search using a virtual button that we or InView would place on that screen. If your third-party application has the ability to sort of kick out or export a text file, CodeFree can be configured to look at that text file and extract the data from within that text file. And you know, like it says, you know, it just allows you to perform the simple tasks without having to leave your screen. So if you can kick out a text file or press a simple little button without having to, you know, go to InView and fire up InView itself, it just keeps things a little bit more cleaner, a little bit more contained within a process that perhaps some users are already familiar with and aren't really too keen on shying away from. So you've got the power of InView and the back-end document storage of InView coupled with CodeFree that's just tagged onto your application. Just gives you that ease of use. Again, I touched on the automating the process of filing and saving. You know, I mentioned potentially, depending on what you're filing, you may have a lot of manual data entry. The risk with that is that, you know, if it's a Friday and the person who's filing is getting bored or just can't be asked, then, you know, there is a risk that something could get mistyped or just filed incorrectly. With CodeFree, it can be configured down to a level where you can actually specify, based on configuration, you can specify which information type, standard document folder, and document references you want to populate. And by doing that, you completely automate the filing structure, the filing process from top to bottom by defining the filing structure that you want to file to. You can kind of just pin it down, so certain screens can do certain things, certain button clicks or certain buttons can be configured to behave in slightly different ways. And the third bullet point there just says that data can be pulled or scraped from a third-party system or application even, as it says on the screen. The way when we say pulled or scraped, that means that generally any fields that you can put your mouse on and highlight text, we can actually just grab that text without having to sort of copy and paste. We can just grab it as it is and use it, you know, within CodeFree and the configuration of CodeFree. The other method that we can use when configuring CodeFree is the OCR method in the CodeFree configuration, and then once we're in the configuration, we can then pass that and dictate and define which elements from the OCR screen that we want to use in InView. And the screen scrape and the file watch are two methods of CodeFree and Advanced CodeFree that I'll be demoing during the WebEx. They'll be fairly short demos. If you need me to go into more detail on the configuration and things like that, then I'm happy to do so. So, common uses of CodeFree. We have a lot of customers within sort of their own finance departments and, you know, accounts departments that tend to use CodeFree for, you know, things like invoice processing, order processing, expense processing, and things like that. And that goes into uses for both document retrieval and document filing. So finance, for example, you know, like I said, they've got invoices that potentially, you know, have been posted to their finance system. They've got the hard copy, they scan it into InView, and they file them away using the information that's been posted to their finance system. And then just general uses, you know, customer services, you know, searching and document retrieval. So, you know, it's pretty much what it says. You know, if someone calls in and says, "Oh, I need information on X, Y, and Z," it could be an order, it could be anything. You know, CodeFree just allows you to perform a quick search based on your application that you're in. So there are many uses, but these are sort of the common areas that we tend to find, you know, people using CodeFree and leveraging its ability to be able to search or file and save. Some of the systems that we can integrate with, for searching and filing and saving, QLX, Navision, Landmark, Sage, OpenGI, Coda. These are ones that we know work. We have got customers out there using CodeFree with these systems. So our confidence level of integration is high. There are other systems that we can integrate with that aren't on this. This isn't a finite list. It's forever evolving. We're always coming across systems that we can integrate with. If you don't see anything that's on the list, or if you're using a third-party system that's not on this list, don't worry about it. We can always perform proof of concept to establish if CodeFree will fit the bill. Generally, CodeFree does, but there are instances where some of the configuration options just simply won't work because the systems are legacy, or the technology. If they're like console applications, it's a bit more difficult to perform a CodeFree sort of screen scrape or an OCR or things like that. But that's not to say that CodeFree just flat out won't work with your system. If you have the ability to, like I said earlier, kick out a text file, things like QLX and I believe it's OpenGI, they have the ability to export a text file. Using that text file that contains the information on screen, so invoice number, customer number, net back rows, things like that. We can, with CodeFree, use that text file to just populate the file and save screen or perform a search. A lot of these applications have the option to just, either add a bespoke button or just, go to like a file export or file save as, and just save whatever's on screen to a text file. As long as you save it to a location that CodeFree is configured to look at, shouldn't be a problem. But in any case, a proof of concept is always recommended. And if you've got a system that you'd like us to try out, please let us know, and we're happy to do a proof of concept. And now I'll just jump straight into the demo. It will be fairly short, but there we go. In true Blue Peter fashion, here's one I prepared earlier. So this Trackmaster application here is just a basic, Visual Basic application that links to an Access database that just contains some dummy information that I've just put in. You can see here that there's this little search icon that only appears, when the user that's logged in has a CodeFree license, and InView is running as well. InView has to be running in order for CodeFree to kind of kick in. This button with the binoculars is one that I've put on using CodeFree. It doesn't exist on this application. So if we go to view orders, for example, you can see that search icon doesn't appear anywhere on this screen, purely because it's not a part of this application. CodeFree has virtually imprinted that icon, that button, onto the application. So if we're looking at this company here, InView Services Limited, I've configured CodeFree to perform a search based on that company name. So if I hit the search button, you can see it's fairly quick. It just performs a metadata search. You can configure it to perform a content search, but to do that, you just need to tick search content. Whatever options are ticked here are the same options that would be ticked in the full InView client. And as you can see, it's just done a search for InView Services Limited. I've got a few things there, documents not filed and saved, just a load of test documents really. And you can search for pretty much anything. I can search for skeleton virus, It's found me a folder. I'll scroll through, see what else we've got. Bridgeport voting. I'll probably find a couple of things. Yeah, delivery note, 2-page scan. So it's, although I configured it to look at the company name, I could just as easily configure it to look at, the phone number, or, the email address, or the address, the postcode if it was on the screen, the street name, anything. There's no real limitation. I could even have it look at the contact ID, which, if this was a finance system, we could say that that's a customer number, or, if this is an order screen, then we can say that's the order number. I can just as easily configure CodeFree to look at that and perform the same sort of search. The other method that I explained was the file watch. So imagine if this was an application where I couldn't perform the scrape. Where, if you notice that when I press the button, the screen just goes sort of a bit sort of garbled, almost like it goes a bit staticky. That is when CodeFree performs a scrape. If I couldn't perform the scrape, or if I couldn't perform the OCR scrape, then what we can do is generate a text file, with some of this information. I've not developed this application, so I can't just stick a random button on it to export the data. But what I have got is just a text file here that I pulled from another application that we use. And you can see that it's just got a load of line numbers, I guess, on the left, and then metadata to the right of the line numbers. So I'm going to use this for filing. So if I bring up a document, so this is a quote that we received from a new server. On the right hand side, I'm not going to select anything. I'm just going to leave it as it is. So imagine for a second that I've just pressed a export button that's been added to this application. What that export button would do is export into this watch folder directory a text file, which I'm going to mirror by just pasting. As soon as it's gone in there, you can see on the right hand side in the file and save, the file and save screen has now been populated. It's picked up the order. It knows it knows it's an order document. It knows it needs to go into the purchase order processing folder. It knows it's a purchase order, and it's pulled in the customer order number, which on this document is 01106088. And in the text file, that same number is there. So again, it's, if your application has the ability to push that information out to a basic text file, then CodeFree can use it to either file or search. So now if I just put that back to normal, and if I hit file and save, then that's gone. So now if I go to there, you can see that there's got 3 in there, customer order numbers there. So again, I could just as easily configure CodeFree to perform a search using that customer order number. What I haven't got is that customer order number in this application. So let's see if I can edit this. Right, so I'm going to use the company name. I'm just going to spoof it as that customer order number. So if I hit search in CodeFree, you can see it's performing that search, and it's just brought me back those quotes. Again, I could configure my Firewatch to do the same thing. So again, if this was the same application, I can't perform a screen scrape, but I do have the ability potentially to add a button in there just to export the data. Again, I could just export another text file that that goes into a directory that's monitored purely for searching. If you're a CodeFree customer or user, and you've got examples that you may want to just kick about and just get a little bit more information on potentially where you may be able to expand your use of CodeFree, and just send the questions over and I'll happily answer them. Ian, CodeFree is mainly used for searching and filing and saving. Generally speaking, a lot of customers tend to use it more so for searching. But on the flip side of that, we do also have a lot of customers using it for filing and saving as well. It just depends on the needs. If you only need to use it for searching, then you only use it for searching. And if you have a few users who you want to make their life a little easier and give them the ability to file and save using CodeFree, then that can be configured.
The conference.
If you have any ideas about anything you'd like for InView to cover in a future webinar, it can be pretty much anything. Whether there's something within InView or some functionality that you've maybe seen, not sure what it does, would like more information, or would just like it covered off, then just drop us an email. Thanks again for your time this morning, and I'll speak to you guys at the next webinar, hopefully.